and welcome to another episode of
Inside the Message.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're so grateful that you're with us, and we're here to discuss a really amazing message that Brother T gave that premiered this past Sunday called Navigating Consciousness. If you missed it, it was a really great story. It was a true story.
It was a true story.
It was a true story of an adventure that Tony had on Lake Erie.
Mm-hmm.
And embedded in that story, not only was it a nail biter, but it also had a really great message. So if you missed it, you can go ahead and catch it on this YouTube channel. But fear not, because we're going to kind of recap it tonight. What do you think was the main takeaway that you would want our audience to know about this message?
Well, the main takeaway, and really the entire point of the conversation, is that our level of consciousness, which we have absolute influence on, is really kind of the main thing, in the sense that if we work, and I want to put it this way: if we have an idea, number one, that we have an influence on our consciousness, that's a big deal, and so we can begin to shift our consciousness. That improves our life. So that's a huge deal. I didn't know that that was even possible.
Mm-hmm.
For most of my life. And then secondly, if we had a roadmap, and we do now, that shows us kind of where we are on the journey to higher levels of consciousness, evolving consciousness, that's also a big deal too. And we now have that. And then once we have attained a higher level of consciousness, what happens for us is that the world, no matter how it's presenting itself, really is of little or no concern to us. In other words, we can almost just be, unaffected in a negative way about any occurrence that's going on in our world. And another great example, which was also on the water, that I'll just share with you, was that Jesus, the story in the Bible, he's out with the disciples, and he goes to sleep on the boat. They're fishing, right? And he takes a nap, right? And they're fishing, and a storm comes up, and they all start freaking out, and they wake him up, and he basically says, what's the matter with you? What's wrong with you? This why would you be afraid of a storm? And am I correct that he basically,
calmed the waters?
He calms the
through
wind.
his consciousness, right?
Yeah, because of his consciousness.
Peace be still.
Right. And so we all have the ability to, and we are doing it unconsciously all the time, having an imprint, an impact on our environment. I mean, that's a great example of instantaneous manifestation of that impact that we're having on this experience that we call this physical world. And we think it's, so concrete, but it's really not. We have tremendous influence on everything around us. And as we evolve consciously, that influence, that power to influence our environment, it grows exponentially. And so that's really the takeaway, is that's the main thing. If we can really understand how important it is to focus on evolving our consciousness, nothing in the world will disturb our peace. Mm-hmm. And we can manifest abundance and health, like our brother Jesus, almost instantaneously, if not instantaneously. And walking through this world becomes a walk through heaven, and we talk about that sometimes too, how we've had a great day and we've really enjoyed, we tell each other, I really enjoyed walking through heaven with you today.
Yeah.
Because we are absolutely impacting our experience in this physical three-dimensional world.
Right. So just to, break it down a little bit, what is consciousness?
Well, we can really go down a rabbit hole on that one, but let's just talk about three levels, if you will. We have the conscious level, the awakened state of mind that we're in right now, and then we all know about Freud's work and the work of our psychologists and the science behind that, and we understand we have a subconscious, or if you will, unconscious mind, and that if you think of an iceberg, our conscious mind is kind of like the part that's above the water. And as we all know, what's below the water is 90% of it is below the surface. And our subconscious, and I like to say subconscious because it's not unconscious to us. It's informing us all the time. And it's not a sub, like, less than. It's just the part of us that we're not conscious of all the time. But that's where all of our programming is. And then there's one more level that I'd like to refer to, and that is the super conscious, or what we might call the level that's also kind of not conscious to us, but it has a tremendous impact on our experience here in the third dimensional world. And we can say that that's where the higher levels of vibration and connection with spirit really reside.
Mm. So what's the key to navigating consciousness so that we actually have a tool in our toolbox that assists us in the actual navigation of our experiences of life?
Well, the number one tool is forgiveness. And we define forgiveness here at True Thought, which was kind of given to us a few years ago as we were doing our work to learn these True Thought principles and the stuff that we were doing. And it came to us that, it's moving back before you give judgment, right? So forgiveness before giving. And what do we give? We're always giving. What does the ego give? It gives judgment. And most of the time that sounds like criticism, or it sounds like an attack, or it sounds like a defense, right? And so the point is, we move back before we give that judgment, before we use that thinking self to paint our meaning, giving our meaning to the world, and we just allow the world to be as it is. And that's the main thing that helps us to evolve consciously more than any other tool, if you will. But one of the most important tools that I've discovered is the work that Dr. David Hawkins did in Power versus Force, and I mentioned that in the talk. But he wrote through kinesiology. He was kind of like the father of kinesiology. Through he had an experience of enlightenment, and through what he was able to understand through that experience, he began to realize that the body can be used as an instrument, that it can be calibrated, and that consciousness can be calibrated. And he created a map. I call it a roadmap, but the levels of consciousness. And we have used that as a foundation with many of our students as we take them through, other works that we've worked with over these last few years.
So if we imagine our consciousness as a vessel, and there we are on the open waters, and the waters, which I find really interesting, that water can sometimes symbolize our emotions. And so, we're on rough waters, or a wind stirs up, and we find that our vessel is being cast about, if you will, upon the waters, and we become fearful. And in our fear, we feel anxiety. We're concerned about our life. Whatever the case may be, what's the first step that we can take when we find ourselves in troubled waters? How do we stabilize our vessel, our consciousness, and then expand it to be able to navigate those waters?
Well, that's a really good question. And I use the example of, you're driving down the road on the interstate, doing the speed limit, of course, and you come upon an accident. And when you come upon the accident, what do you do? Do you speed up, or do you slow down? Do you touch the brake? And so when life's coming at us and we get a little disturbed by what's going on around us, we can tap the brake, so to speak, by simply practicing what we call as the holy instant. But it's basically to she's playing music for us. But it's basically to take a good deep breath.
Do you want me to get her off?
No, she's fine. She's fine. So to take a good deep breath and to just turn within. You have an inner guidance system. And that guidance system, the cat is tap dancing on our computer. So that guidance system is there to guide you and help you. And that's another one of these amazing, important tools.
Right.
Yeah.
I just got totally distracted. Whatever he said is cool. So I think that, the first tool then is to stop and become aware.
Yes.
And when we become aware, going back to consciousness, something might be going on below that surface, below the subjective or the subconscious. When we stop and become aware, then we can become objective. And we bring into our awareness what is exactly happening. And in that breath, we can pause and we can offer it to that super consciousness or to spirit in the holy instant, and just really connect with our really truly the master navigator of our experience, and ask for that guidance. So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to keep delving into what this navigation looks like, what the different levels of consciousness are. And I love that you refer to it as a roadmap, because I think it's really important that we have a roadmap. And if we know what that map is and where we're at on it, then we can actually navigate through our consciousness. And what I want to share is that this then becomes a tool for us. Now, sometimes when we start to share the levels of consciousness, it almost seems like we can beat ourselves up with it. But contrary to that idea, it's really a tool for self-examination, for self-awareness. And then we can really objectively go, oh, okay, I'm operating at this particular level of consciousness. Now that I'm aware of it, I know exactly what I need to do to rise to another level in order to expand my consciousness, to expand the vessel that I am in, so that I can experience the conditions and the effects of this world in a different way. And so that I can actually return back to cause. And we are, as God created us, we are individuations of that divine mind. We are the Word of God in extension and expression. And as such, we're the creators actually of our experience. And so when we can know where we're at on the map, we can then reassess, and we can step into turning away from the effect and then assume our position at the helm, at the, what would you call it, at the wheel? The helm. It's called the helm. I got that right. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Assume our position at the helm and navigate through the experiences of life. So thanks for this conversation.
Our cat's really participating in our conversation.
She's quite entertaining to us, and I know you can't really see her, but we're going to have a conversation after this on our interactive Zoom, which is going to start at 7:30 p.m. The other thing that I want to share as we conclude the conversation about navigating consciousness, as the prelude to the conversation that we're about to have on our interactive Zoom session, is that we're going to be meeting the day before Thanksgiving. And so we'll also have an opportunity to discuss gratitude and share together, have a Thanksgiving together, our True Thought spiritual community, to share the importance of gratitude, the importance of being thankful as a practice, as a causative practice, and to share with one another what we might be grateful for at this particular juncture in our evolution. I also would love for us to, share what the particular challenges are that we are navigating this Thanksgiving in the midst of a COVID experience, how this may be impacting you, and how we may turn to gratitude to help us, kind of rise out of a victim level consciousness in order to truly focus on the gifts that are present, even now, especially now.
Especially now.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us tonight, and we appreciate you. We're going to be doing a Zoom session just after we close here tonight at the bottom of the hour, and we hope that you'll join us there. If you have not received an invitation, go to our website and truethought.org and join our Inner Circle email, and we send out a Zoom address so that people that have that and have responded and are a part of our Inner Circle, they have access to that. And if you'd like to join us there, we'd certainly welcome you there. We'd appreciate you joining us. We appreciate you visiting our website. And if you enjoyed the conversation here, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell if you want to know when we post more videos, and also absolutely, hit the like button if you don't mind. That'll help us to get this out to more people. We do appreciate you being there. God bless you for being there. And thank you for staying the course with us as we travel through these beginning stages of True Thought and our spiritual community and the foundation that we are, presenting over these next few weeks and months as to how these principles can absolutely change your life for the better. That's all I got.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll see you in a couple minutes. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Have a
We
great
love
night.
you.
Bye-bye.